Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. I'm going to read some Krishna book about Nanda Mahārāja when he becomes captured by Varuṇa. It's a funny pastime. It's a funny one. Krishna. It's very funny. Oh, Krishna. Krishna's got a great sense of humor. But I have a couple more mantras to finish this round. But I was just appreciating how enriched I am by others. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone actually gives so much. Everyone, whether they realize they're giving or not. Everyone. Because everyone's serving Krishna, whether they realize it or not. So, because everyone's serving Krishna, whether they realize it or not, they can't help but give. Everyone's actually full of mercy, because Krishna's within the heart of everyone. Learning how to recognize the mercy. And it's all different. And to be able to accept the mercy that's coming from others, whether they realize it or not. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. That's why what's called fault finding is so detrimental to the path of transcendence, devotional service, transcendence. Because everyone is serving Krishna and everyone is giving so much mercy, whether they realize it or not. To find fault with anyone is a stumbling block. It's just the false ego trying to make itself look good by finding fault with someone else. But it's very detrimental to the bhakti yoga. It's very detrimental. Because if everyone is actually serving Krishna, God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take that false ego position of singling someone out and finding fault with them, then you get cut off from everyone serving Krishna. And then it's just you serving Krishna. You're the only one. And that's an illusion. Lord Brahma had that illusion. He thought he was the only Lord Brahma. He thought there was only one universe. Boy, did he get a surprise. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It doesn't mean not seeing things as they are and being a little discriminating in who you actually associate with and who you take a big drink of mercy from. Doesn't mean you don't discriminate. Take what you can use, give the leave the rest. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But taking that position of making myself look better by putting others down, it's a dead end. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's a fool's position. A fool, an idiot. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But to wish everyone well is really the safest spot. If someone's doing that and you see it and you recognize it, you don't fall into the same trap that they fell into. In other words, you don't put them down to make yourself look better, but you can recognize what they're doing. And if you can help, you'll help. If not, just wish them well. Krishna will take care of it. Somehow. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How to remain blissfully Krishna conscious. Wow! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Accept Krishna's mercy from wherever it's coming. One of my favorite illustrations of that is in the life of Bilva Mangal Thakur. This was hundreds, maybe thousands of years before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyway, it was before Mahaprabhu. And Bilva Mangal Thakur was in a Brahmin family, but he'd fallen into attraction for material things. And he had a strong attachment for a prostitute. And one evening she spoke to him, because his attachment was very obvious, that's all he could think about was her. And she spoke to him. Actually, it was Krishna and his spiritual master, because he had made some advancement in a previous life. That's why he took birth in a Brahmin family. But he was misusing that high birth. He slipped. That happens. But when he heard what she said to him, when he was obvious about his single-minded obsession with her, she said, in other words, he wasn't just a customer, he was obsessed. So she said to him, she said, if you had this much attachment for Krishna, you'd be a pure devotee by now. You'd be a pure devotee. Wow. When she said that, it was his spiritual master and Krishna speaking through her. He got some instant recollection, and the benefits of his past progress that he'd made in previous lives kicked in, and he picked up the devotional path again. He just, like 180 degrees turn. He went to Vrindavan to spend the rest of his life chanting Hare Krishna. He's written some beautiful prayers and songs and poems. But his experience serves to illustrate Krishna's mercy and how Krishna can work through anyone. I mean, she was a prostitute, right? Hello? But they say gold is gold, even if it's in a dirty place. It's gold. And another way to understand it is swan-like. There's crows, they pick through the garbage, yummy. But then there's swans, and they have the ability, if there's some water and just one little drop of milk in there, they can pick that little drop out. They don't get all caught up in the water. They can find that little drop. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Time for Krishna book. Oh no, I don't have my glasses. Can I see it without my glasses? No. Hare Krishna. All right. 45 minutes. Where's my glasses? I'll find them. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Krishna, despite all its drawbacks, like, where's my glasses? Where's my keys? Where am I? Who am I? And other things, as the body ages, the benefits are incredible. Because everything slows down, and everything that you thought was so important, it just isn't. And most of the people that you knew, they've already passed away. So it really, the perspective that comes from being able to make it, a lot of people don't make it to old age, but there's this, the perspective that comes just with aging is so valuable. So valuable, so appreciative to have made it this far. Okay, Krishna book. Summary study of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Oh, sing the little song. Okay. It's said that the whole spiritual world is in these 4 lines of this song. Okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Shivaridari Gopi Jana Vallabha Shivaridari Yashodanandana Vishishanarandana Yashodanandana Vishishanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Padavajikacharya Sarasata Shishiman His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavinebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. This is chapter 28. Releasing Nanda Mahārāja from the clutches of Varuṇa. The Govardhan ceremony took place on the new moon day. After this, there were torrents of rain and hailstorms imposed by King Indra for 7 days. 9 days after the waxing moon having passed, on the 10th day, King Indra worshipped Lord Krishna, and thus the matter was satisfactorily settled. After this, on the 11th day of the full moon, there was Ekadasi. Mahārāja Nanda observed fasting for the whole day, and just early in the morning of Dwadasi, the day after Ekadasi, he went to take a bath in the river Yamuna. He entered deep into the water of the river, but he was arrested immediately by one of the servants of Varuṇa. These servants brought Nanda Mahārāja before the demigod Varuṇa and accused him of taking a bath in the river at the wrong time. According to astronomical calculations, the time in which he took his bath was considered demoniac. The fact was, Nanda Mahārāja wanted to take a bath in the river Yamuna early in the morning before the sunrise. But somehow or other he was a little too early, and he bathed at an inauspicious time. Consequently, he was arrested. When Nanda Mahārāja was taken away by Varuṇa's servants, his companions began to call loudly for Krishna and Balaram. Immediately, Krishna and Balaram could understand that Nanda Mahārāja was taken by Varuṇa, and thus they went to the abode of Varuṇa, for they were pledged to give protection. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, having no shelter other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally cried to him for help, exactly like children who do not know anything but the protection of their parents. Demigod Varuṇa received Lord Krishna and Balaram with great respect and said, "My dear Lord, actually, at this very moment, because of your presence, I am materially defeated. Although I am the proprietor of all the treasures in the water, I know that such possessions do not make for a successful life. But this moment, as I look at you, my life is made completely successful, because by seeing you, I no longer have to accept a material body. Therefore, O Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Brahman, and Super Soul of everything, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the Supreme, Transcendental Personality. There is no possibility of imposing the influence of material nature upon you. I'm very sorry that by being foolish, by not knowing what to do or what not to do, I have mistakenly arrested your father, Nanda Mahārāja. So I beg your pardon for the offense of my servants. I think that it was your plan to show me your mercy by your personal presence here. My dear Lord Krishna, Govinda, be merciful upon me. Here is your father. You can take him back immediately." In this way, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, rescued his father and presented him before his friends with great jubilation. Nanda Mahārāja was surprised that, although the demigod was so opulent, he offered respect to Krishna. That was very astonishing to Nanda, and he began to describe the incident to his friends and relatives with great wonder. Actually, although Krishna was acting so wonderfully, Mahārāja Nanda and Mother Yasoda could not think of him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead, they always accepted him as their beloved child. Thus, Nanda Mahārāja did not accept the fact that Varuṇa worshipped Krishna because Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, he took it that because Krishna was such a wonderful child, he was respected even by Varuṇa. The friends of Nanda Mahārāja, all the cowherd men, became eager to know if Krishna were actually the Supreme Personality and if he were going to give them all salvation. When they were all thus consulting among themselves, Krishna understood their minds in order to assure them of their destiny in the spiritual kingdom. He showed them the spiritual sky. Generally, ordinary persons are engaged simply in working hard in the material world. They have no information that there is another kingdom or another sky, which is known as the spiritual sky, where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person returning to that spiritual sky never returns to this material world of death and suffering. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always anxious to give information to the conditioned soul that there is a spiritual sky far, far beyond this material sky, transcendental to the innumerable universes created within the total material energy. Krishna is, of course, always very kind to every conditioned soul, but as stated in Bhagavad Gita, he is especially inclined to the devotees. Hearing their inquiries, Krishna immediately thought that his devotees in Vrindavan should be informed of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets therein. Within the material world, every conditioned soul is in the darkness of ignorance. This means that all conditioned souls are under the conception of this bodily existence. Everyone is under the impression that he is of this material world, and with this concept of life, everyone is working in ignorance in different forms of life. The activities of the particular type of body are called karma, or fruit of action. All conditioned souls under the impression of the bodily concept are working according to their particular types of body. These activities are creating their future conditional life. Because they have very little information of the spiritual world, they do not generally take to spiritual activities, which are called bhakti yoga. Those who successfully practice bhakti yoga after giving up this present body go directly to the spiritual world and become situated in one of the Vaikuntha planets. The inhabitants of Vrindavan are all pure devotees. Their destination after quitting the body is Krishna Loka. They even surpass the Vaikuntha Lokas. The fact is, those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness and mature, pure devotional service are given the chance after death to gain Krishna's association in the universes within the material world. Krishna's pastimes are continually going on, either in this universe or in another universe. Just as the sun globe is passing through many places across this earthly planet, so Krishna Lila, or the transcendental advent and pastimes of Krishna, are also going on continually, either in this or another universe. The mature devotees who have completely executed Krishna consciousness are immediately transferred to the universe where Krishna is appearing. In that universe, the devotees get their first opportunity to associate with Krishna personally and directly. The training goes on, as we see in Vrindavan Leela of Krishna within this planet. Krishna therefore revealed the actual feature of the Vaikuntha planets, so the inhabitants of Vrindavan could know their destination. Thus Krishna showed them the eternal, ever-existing spiritual sky, which is unlimited and full of knowledge. Within this material world, there are different gradations of forms, and according to the gradations, knowledge is proportionately manifested. For example, the knowledge in the body of a child is not as perfect as the knowledge in the body of an adult man. Everywhere, there are different gradations of living entities. In aquatic animals, in the plants and trees, in the reptiles and insects, in birds and beasts, and in the civilized and uncivilized human forms of life. Above the human form of life, there are demigods, charanas and siddhas, on up to Brahma Loka, where Lord Brahma lives. And among these demigods, there are always different gradations of knowledge. But past this material world, in the Vaikuntha sky, everyone is in full knowledge. All the living entities there are engaged in devotional service to the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. As it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, full knowledge means knowing Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that in the Brahmajyoti, or spiritual sky, there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. All those planets are self-illuminating, and all of them are eternally situated. There is no question of creation and annihilation in the Brahmajyoti, the spiritual sky. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that beyond the material sky, there is another eternal sky where everything is eternally existing. Information of the spiritual sky can be had only from the great sages and saintly persons who have already surpassed the influence of the three material modes of nature. Unless one is constantly situated on that transcendental platform, it is not possible to understand the spiritual nature. Therefore, it is recommended that one should take to Bhakti Yoga, keep himself engaged 24 hours in Krishna consciousness, which places one beyond the reach of the modes of material nature. One in Krishna consciousness can easily understand the nature of the spiritual sky and Vaikuntha Loka. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, being always engaged in Krishna consciousness, could therefore very easily understand the transcendental nature of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Thus, Krishna led all the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Mahārāja, to the lake where Akrura was later shown the Vaikuntha planetary system. They took their bath immediately and saw the real nature of the Vaikuntha Lokas. After seeing the spiritual sky and Vaikuntha Lokas, all the men headed by Nanda Mahārāja felt wonderfully blissful. Coming out of the river, they saw Krishna, who was being worshipped with excellent prayers. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 28th chapter of Krishna, releasing Nanda Mahārāja from the clutches of Varuṇa. Oh boy, the next chapter, chapter 29, is an introduction to the rasa dance. Jai. And it's a long chapter. Hare Krishna. All right, Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna's dealing with the young village girls. It's like the cowherd man saw Krishna as a beautiful child, and the cowherd boys saw him as their dear friend. And Nanda and Yasoda saw him and related to him as their wonderful child. The village girls, they saw and related to Krishna in a boy and girl type attraction, a conjugal mood. Hare Krishna. So we'll be getting some help with that in being able to appreciate that aspect of Krishna consciousness in the next chapter. Because we're going to need help with that. Our experience of these things is very mundane and it's based on the body. We're talking here about the transcendental forms. So Prabhupada's going to help us with that. And it's by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Prabhupada is able to help us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.